I know. Right, we'll take it now. Okay. Well, my name is Robbie Phillips, as you most probably know. I've been in it now for well over 50 years. So I'm standing in for Martyn because he's got a family issue. So he was 25 years local authority. Then he went on to in the private sector with water babies, head of operations, and he tidied that up quite a lot. Pool consultant and the owner of Pool Oracle, who I now work for. So I mentored him, and now he's given me a job. Guide to design your pool for a swim school business. Just a bit of background for me. I owned a swim school for 10 years, and I looked after a lot of the pool plant for them down in South Wales. So I've got a good idea. I also was looking at a project for the person who bought the business off me to build a pool in a factory unit, which was quite interesting, and it's still on the back burner at the moment. Short presentation aimed at giving you an insight into the design requirements of a swimming pool. It is not a DIY course, so there is plenty of information out there. One of them that we wrote with Sparta was a fact sheet M99, and that's quite inclusive on what you should be looking for, what you should be doing. So we'll be talking this morning about actually building your own pool as opposed to hiring your own pool, and obviously refurbishing a pool. So this was one of the projects that Martyn is covering today. I mean, it was a dilapidated pool, it needed a lot of work on it, but then he started helping with this, and one of the other documents that he used was the Sport England's design guidance. That's got chapter and verse on what you need to do and be aware of when you build your own swimming pool and when you actually run them. So, good design can maximise customer appeal, allow flexibility for maximum pool program options, provide efficient and well-organised circulation of clients, minimise staffing levels whilst allowing the effective management of health and safety, minimise cleaning and maintenance requirements, help achieve financial sustainability. One thing I would say here is, if you're going to go on looking at your own pool, look at the secondary incomes as well. I mean, the obvious ones are vending machines and all that. But the project that we are looking at the moment is looking at a wellness centre and looking at training. Training, it's not in Martyn's presentation, but I'll tell you this now, most certainly in Wales, and it must be in England and Scotland and Ireland. If you're employing people and you are training them, then there's big bucks there. There's also money available in grants for things like training qualifications. I've got a local pool not far from me. I question the management, but they constantly haven't got enough lifeguards to man the pool. Now, if you go to any job centre and you say, look, we're prepared to train you up to become a lifeguard, they'll be, run into your door. So it's a couple of ideas there on my part. Martyn also looked at concept design in terms of site. Local technical analysis should assess space for the facility and future expansion. What are you looking for in that pool? Obviously, you need a pool, you need changing areas, and we'll come on to that. But as I say, I repeat myself, because I'm getting old, look for secondary incomes. It's so important. Bearing capacity of the ground, so the ground has to be suitable, soil conditions, and depth of water table. You've got to be very careful with the water table. I worked for a company where we did filtration, and we also supplied in-ground pools. And shortly after I joined the company, I had to go up and have a look at a Chinese very wealthy man who would put a gunite, that's like a concrete pool, in the ground. They hadn't taken into account the actual water table, and he went in one morning.
Please don't forget to make your way to the arena workshops, arena 1, the ISPE workshops, 10:15. White Tuesday, let's pipe up the pools, and in arena 2, happening now, SPATEX seminars,
So what happened was the actual pool tank floated above the water. Now you've got to have a specialist valve in the bottom to make sure that doesn't happen. But you've got to know the soil conditions and the ground conditions and obviously the water table. Accessibility for pedestrians, cyclists and cars, also service and emergency vehicles. I still see it, particularly in hydrotherapy pools, where the delivery is delivered and they are dangerous chemicals and they're just left outside the front door, which I warned people about this back in Wales. Potential car parking for users and staff, location of existing public services and drainage capacity. You might very well need to contact your water authority. In fact, you must, to make sure that, you know, if you're dumping backwash water, which is chlorinated water, they need to have a look at that and they'll advise you on the way to go. Designing your pool, initial considerations, the key question. Who will use it and how often? So what type of clients are you going to use? In the pool that I hired out for my swim school, we were fortunate enough to have a school pool, but other people then, they can only take children up to a very young age because the pool is not deep enough or whatever. So look for what you aim to use it for. Water babies, for example, only need a shallow pool for a parent and toddler. This has a massive impact on the tank design, size and potential bather load of the pool. Basically, how many people will be getting into the tank. To get this wrong at this point could lead to massive consequences. So don't forget, for every person who enters a pool, you get a displacement of water. So if you have a mass of people in there, and say you've got a parent and toddler, so you've got more volume with an adult, then you know you don't want the water overflowing over the bank and into the change rooms and goodness knows where. So next considerations, we're looking at a 10 by 5 meter, 1.2 meter minimum for swim school. That's so you know the people in the water taking the classes can move around comfortably. Deck level or skimmer. Deck level system is where all the water goes over the top. A skimmer system is where it goes through skimmers. The most effective, hygienic way is a deck level pool, but that comes at a price. I'll have a look at that now shortly. Heating the pool water, the heating of the pool water, how are you going to heat it? Are you going to try and introduce solar panels? Once again, you can get grants for that sort of thing. Tiled pool, a liner pool, or a resin pool. A tile pool is obviously the most expensive. Ventilation and dehumidification. You need to be able to control the environment for comfort of the actual bathers, the spectators, and obviously the teachers. And the other thing is, if you don't get your ventilation right, in the long term, if you've got damp voids and stuff like that, you can be looking at quite expensive deterioration in the building fabric. The water treatment. I did a presentation yesterday on biofilms, and the water treatment is absolutely essential. You might have somebody coming down trying to sell you a very domestic filtration system, for example, which cannot work when you got busy. Although they're small pools, perhaps you need to look at good water treatment, and we say medium rate filtration and an automatic control system. It makes me shudder because I made this point yesterday. I don't think it was very popular. How you can run something as dangerous potentially as a hot tub without having chemical control there. I don't think it's good enough to use dipsticks to test the water, for example, and have filters which are cartridge, which cannot cope with the actual volume, and more importantly, automatic chemical control systems. Changing rooms, you've got to look at the flow of people. Hopefully they come in through one side, shower, and then change, shower, and then go into the pool. Showers, toilets, and the plant room. Don't forget, we'll come on to it, I think Martyn will come on to it. Toilets for special needs people and baby changing, particularly for swim schools. Deck level advantages over skimmer pools, easier pool entry and exit, improved surveillance of the pool tank because you can see every square meter of pool from the pool side, improved air movement across the surface of the pool, enabling more effective removal of airborne chemical pollutants. Improved surface draft. So what we mean is, you know, the bugs tend to settle, and one very, very important one is what we call cryptosporidium. That's evolved, so it tends to float to the top of the water and is highly resistant to free chlorine. In a deck level pool, you've got far better chance of removing that to the sides, over the top, and down to the disinfection system quickly. 75% of all pollution is in the top 150 mil. Deck level system gets rid of 80%. In France, they've got jets coming up from the bottom, it goes over the top, it's 100% removal of the top surface area. That's where the bugs tend to be. That's where you can get conjunctivitis and all sorts of things. Disadvantage, cost deck level pools are between 30 and 40% more expensive due to requirement of a balanced tank. So if you imagine me now, my sylph-like figure, and I've got the bath full of water, and I don't jump in the bath because I slip easily into the bath, all the water is going over the side. So exactly the same principle with a deck level system. You've got a balanced tank which actually keeps the water at a constant level. Consider your main target market. Accommodation for children, pushchair and pram storage, baby changing facilities, and don't forget you might need, for very small babies, a number of the cots where you can change them. Remember, nappy disposal provision, childcare facilities, creche or playgroups. Remember, a childcare facility, you need to comply with current Ofsted national standards. Change in facilities, key design issues. Open plan single sex areas or a village change in unisex area with individual cubicles. Village offers greater flexibility in terms of accommodating varying mixes of male and female users, including family changing and changing for people with disabilities. Also, staff of either sex can supervise, clean and maintain these areas far easier. Don't forget your toilet provision. So this is what the recommendation is. WCs, 1 per 5 females up to 50. 2 for up to 100 males. At least 1 ambulant WC for ambulant disabled people should be provided in separate sex toilets or in the village setup. Urinals, 1 per 20 males. Wash basins, 1 per WC, male and female. Showers, 1 per 10 males, females. Vanity places, 1 per 30 lockers for men and 1 per 20 lockers for women. I'm a bit out my depth here, sorry. Some examples of completed projects. These are very interesting. One that Martyn will come on to, it was absolutely unbelievable. If you're ever in the area of Blackburn and you can get access, they built a purpose-built swim school in a car park, a concrete car park. So, Project 1, Market Waiting, existing pool, 12 by 5 meter tank, hopper style lined, 1 to 2 meters deep. All existing plant assessed and priced where upgrade or replacement required. Aims of the project, looking for 1.2 meters constant depth, so they're altering the depth obviously. Relined in the tank with epoxy resin, that works really well. And I know Martyn's done a number of projects, and we did one in Taunton private school where we completely relined the whole 25 meter pool. Reflow the pool walkways, Aquabead anti-slip flooring, and I know Martyn's had a lot of success with this. Obviously the same for the changing areas, and you've got a nice even continuous surface. New boiler to service existing, Calrex unit for air, environmental control for air and water temperature. Pump capacity increased to improve turnover. Don't forget, you need to be having the turnover of the pool, the filtration, the pumping, etc. to national standards. It's in our STA handbook. It gives you a guide on that, and it's quite easy to get from Swim England and other providers. New filter was installed. Installation of new automatic dosing system, pressure test, and recommission the pool. The cost was circa 75k plus VAT, and it was done in 25 days. But that was from, you know, quite a downgraded pool. And you can see before we've already shown, and you can see before, and then this is before. You can see the dilapidation of the pool cover, and then after, you can see all the pool has been recoated. You've got the change rooms as well. The line, I think the liner was replaced as well. And you can see on the left-hand side, just on the left-hand side there, you see down the side of the pool, you can see a channel then, because they didn't have it before, for any wastewater to run to drain. Project 2. Owning, critical questions, owning v hiring. I've also done a recent project where they were hiring out a factory unit, but they were, you know, on a long-term lease. So somebody said to me, a very close friend of mine, a very successful builder, he said, well, why don't you lease to buy? That might be an option. So you might put your pool into a factory unit, which is doable. Just make sure you seal it off and you insulate it properly and have a hang floor. It's quite easy to do structurally. But you need to make sure that you get the best deal you can as far as leasing and renting, rent to buy. Secondary spend opportunities, which I've already said. What is the objective of the building of your pool? Current custom and potential increase in students. So you may be moving from a hired facility to your own facility, but you've got to know the throughput, so that goes down on your business plan. Your business plan is the key to everything. Market research, for example, what is the opposition in your area? You know, what are the unique points that you can bring to bear? Finance, Martyn's got a slide towards the back with a finance company, which is very interesting for you. How much will it cost? What are the predicted running costs? What's the predictive overall cost? Capital, what capital can you bring? That's most important, you know. If you go to your bank, very often they're very supportive. Don't forget, you've got to have a good business plan. And the other thing is, don't forget, grants are available, providing you put the provision in. Increase in sales. So obviously, what you would be looking at is increasing your sales 9 times out of 10. I've gone backwards. This is the car park. You can see there. You can see the structure. They put in scaffolding up ready. You can see the floor and the walls are solid concrete. But it was enveloped in that. The beauty of it as well was, as soon as you go into the car park and outside, you've got a sign for the swim school. Really bold, you know, it was very clever. This young lady who built it with her husband, he's a senior engineer for a major construction company. But the advice is there. Make sure you've got a good, trustworthy builder. Absolutely essential. They'll pick up on things like drainage and stuff like that and what you need to have. You'll have a good idea, but they'll contribute then to your pathway. Pool size and shape, the size of the pool and building, the water depth, cater for beginners and basic improvers. The use is defined at the beginning of the process, and the age ranges. What are the abilities are you going to look for, and what abilities are you looking to get to? There's one thing I found, it was a stupid thing. I had a business called Sensitive Water Solutions because I thought that gave parents a good idea. We used to teach with sensitivity. I couldn't afford to employ people who were aggressive or not very good with children. Yeah? Sensitive Water Solution, I put a flyer out and I asked on that simple formula exactly what experience has your child had? Are they fearful of the water? Can they put their face in the water? Are they outgoing, or, you know? And that was just a simple flyer. So, you know, just one for you might help you. In-ground or above ground, in-ground pools are permanent. If you had a situation where you had to move, if you've got a above ground pool, all of them normally are dismantleable. You can disassemble them. Above ground pools can be temporary, are more suitable to install in an existing building where excavation may not be possible. If you imagine a factory unit, or most floors, you know, if you've got a factory unit, it's normally got reinforced steel on it. You can't dig down in that because you'll alter the whole safety of the structure. Self-supporting frame structure, composite steel, wooden structure. These are above ground pools now. Concrete structure erected off concrete base, a factory floor. Make sure that that an above ground pool is installed to manufacturer's recommendations. This may preclude it from being installed in the ground. So, and I see, I'm not going to mention anything now, but I see these flimsy pools are being put up right, left and centre. I work for a company. I started a filtration department, but they used to specialise in above ground pools. Now, if you've got an above ground pool and you've got a weight of water in it, you must have a structural engineer. With these you buy off the shelf, they're already structured for the turning, the force at the top of the water, okay? So, and it must be installed to manufacturer's recommendations, that's the anchorage and all that, which they'll supply you with. So you can see the initial build, the part of the build. This is the one, it's in Blackburn, I'm pretty sure. It is Blackburn, I think, isn't it? I think it is. You can see now the tank is starting to take shape. Clearer picture there. This was stainless steel, which cost a lot of money, but you know it worked out, and they've sold it on for quite a substantial profit, as I understand it. Location, the site selection, accessibility, the Equality Act, parking, local geology, which we've just spoken about, covenants for the new build or existing. I mean, one thing that I looked at a few years ago, but I didn't follow it through, is very often if you got churches coming up for sale, I've seen some pools in churches, and it'll work in your favour. It's a covenant that you can't use it. You can only use it for recreation. You can't use it for bars and stuff like that. You know, beer bars. Sorry. Covenants, the new build or existing, so you've got to have a search of it if you're going into an existing building, which a solicitor would do for you. Your catchment area, where are the people likely to come from? What are the demographics? They will give you very interesting and, you know, very, very important information. Investigate your age range and the impact on pool size. We're looking at now the actual pool plant in this small pool. It's got bobbin round sand filters, it's got an automatic control system, and it's got its own separated room. Yeah? And by the way, in this plant room, it's got a chlorine gas detector as well. Just putting that in because being a bit of a pool plant boffin, not many plant rooms have that. And if something goes wrong, you need to know it. Actual capital cost, M&E and consultancy fees, 200K. Pool tank installation, 70K. Lift, that was a lift installed, 15K. General build cost, 100K. Steel fabrication, 60K. Furnishings and settings, 20K. Fire doors and glass frames, 15K. Grand total, 480K. Now that's a top of the range, small pool, but it's stainless steel. It's got a little reception area. It's got everything you want there. And you can see that's another picture of it. And you can see, you know, it's stainless steel with an overflow channel. And you can see, sorry, it's a skimmer system. If you look on the wall, you can see the little skimmers there. That is the pool, easy access all around. They've even got a lift included, as I said. And then they've got a nice little changing area. Link, obviously right next to the pool. And they've got a little cafe area there. and spectators. It's quite small, but it's made a lot of money, and it's been used sort of 10 hours a day, as I understand it. That's the access to the actual going up to the pool, and then the pool is on the right-hand side. And that's looking at it, and you can see the air conditioning vent shafts at the top there. Top tip from Pool Oracle. On any pool build project, large or small, be sure to establish a top-class project management team made up of individuals with the required skill set to deliver pardon me, your ultimate dream. If you don't do this, it could result in potential failure of the project and costs of lots of money. Now, Martyn's put this in, Wagtail Services, and it's called Pools for Swim Schools. It's quite important. It connects with private swim schools, with public schools to broaden the Learn to Swim access, so it gives you then that upfront liaison with important possible extra customers, focuses on increasing equitable swimming opportunities and business growth, bringing capital into the private swim schools to support investment, support sustainable use of swimming facilities for long-term impact, create partnerships and help expand swimming lessons in your community. So that might be quite a good contact for you. And this, you could see this here. I'll come over here because it's a bit small on there. And as you can see, this is the partnership model, equity investment, equity partnership strategy, partnership model, and sustainable operation. So you can revitalize the community, and you'll be getting links, which is so important. Project example, pool school refurbishment, 20-year lease, 200K development cost, refit plant room, and renovate the building. And you can see all this, you can see from the outside, the inside, and the actual refurbishment required. Another one, new major build, £1.3 million development cost. I step back here, sorry. And you can see here, purpose-built swim well centre developed as a blueprint for a national rollout dedicated Learn to Swim facilities. Located on a prime retail park, excellent road access, free parking, high visibility. That's good marketing and ease of use of families. Modern purpose-designed pool and facility, optimized specifically for children's Learn to Swim rather than general public swimming. Commercially proven format, combining strong catchment demand with a scalable operating model and predictable weekly subscription income. Delivered at an attractive occupational cost, £10 per square foot, demonstrating the viability of leisure use in a retail park environment. Designed to open fully staffed and commercially active. A pre-launch marketing, advanced bookings, and trained teams in place. Operational systems, training standards, and customer experience fully codified, allowing repeatable execution across the actual sites. Okay, what guidance is available? Spartan SJ fact sheet, we said that at the beginning, M99, HSG 179, that gives you all the health and safety requirements. PUTAG swimming, pool water treatment and quality standards for pools and spas. That's a document, they're just rewriting it. It's absolutely invaluable. Sport England's design guidance. And you've got Sport England just to the right outside there. Many thanks for your attention. Martyn sends his apologies. I hope you found the presentation useful, and good luck if it has encouraged you to consider constructing and refurbishing your own pool. Any questions, please do track me down. Contact Martyn at pooloracle.co.uk. That's his number, and that's Martyn, and we work very closely together. So, if you're looking for a possible consultant, then don't be afraid to give him a ring and he'll come on to me. Thank you very much for being such a good audience. there's any questions, I'll try and answer them if I can. This is not my speciality, but okay, thank you very much anyway. Thank you. Thank you.